Welcome back, everybody. This is November 4th. How's your day going, America? I know that I had a sleepless night because all I could do is just dream about the election coverage. Uh, I dreamt all sorts of scenarios. Finally, I kept on waking up. Finally woke up at like five something. I had to look at my phone because I needed to see, where things stand. Uh, Still undecided in a lot of areas. Then I used all of the techniques that I know of in order to get myself to go to sleep and get a few more hours in. So it's been a rough night, rough morning for me. We're going to talk to a wonderful actor, Matt Meinsen, who you probably know from Madam Secretary. I know him from Madam Secretary, although he's been in a bunch of other places that we're going to talk about. So, Matt, how's your morning?
Uh, I'm still on the evening. The bright side is at least you woke up because I've pretty much done the run.
Oh my goodness. So you didn't get any sleep at all?
It's been a long night, but it's then again, and I can say this because anybody who follows me knows my standard. It's been a long 4 years, so
Yes.
an
Yeah.
even longer last one.
Yeah. Everybody that follows me knows my standing as well. So, yeah, listen, the only thing that I kept on going back to thinking that I'm going to talk to you this morning is, God, I wish Elizabeth was on the ticket. I really, I really wanted to vote for Elizabeth.
Our,
That was,
our writers were so much better than these writers. I can't even
yes.
begin.
And that's, yeah. Although in Madam Secretary, the part that I truly enjoyed, and I talked to Francis and Mike about this, is that yeah, they're amazing. For me, it was kind of this outlet, right? Because you see all the horrible stuff that's happening in the world, and then on Madam Secretary, you see that scenario also being played out, but you can actually resolve it and do something about it, and finally get to a point where you feel good about the situation. And for me, the show kind of became that alternate reality that I wish I was living in, as opposed to where we were and where we are as a society. So I am really bummed that Madam Secretary is no longer on the air because I lost kind of that hopeful state that I was going back to.
Well, you know what it is not only the fact that they they gave you that resolution that you don't
Right.
necessarily get in your life, but there was hopefulness in the way that you got to see these people as people and got to see them with their family
Yeah.
and to get to understand the fact that these people have to make decisions on a daily basis that the majority of the world, the vast majority of the world, couldn't even begin to comprehend the level of the decisions they have to make, and then still manage to go home and live that somewhat normal life with a family. So they did an amazing job writing it from both sides that way.
Yeah, that's I think how I got hooked on the show is because it was so focused on family.
Yeah.
It was the job and family, and it was they tried to keep a really kind of delicate balance and show as much of the reality. And the heart was the family, and that was kind of the driving force. And I mentioned this, I mentioned it to Francis, I mentioned it to Mike, I'm going to mention it to you that if Tim, if you're watching, I am a far better husband because of you and all of this. It's amazing because again, my wife is a CFO. She is she's the powerful woman. She's the one that has a ton of people kind of depending on her and the decisions that she has to make, for the financial sake of the company. So I see all of this stuff when she comes home, and I see how people perceive her, and then I see how she is on the other side of her. So like the whole dynamic of Tim and Elizabeth, well, Tim, Tim's
Mhm.
character and Elizabeth the McCord's family is kind of playing out in my reality. So when my wife is dealing with impossible choices, I go back to how did
What would Tim Daly do?
yeah, it basically became like, okay, I need to really be supportive here, and I need to kind of be the advice when asked for one. So
Yep.
that the show, worked for me on so many levels.
Oh
It's
yeah.
definitely it's in my top 10. I don't know if it's like number 6 or anywhere, but it's in my top 10, and will
Yeah,
continue.
well, you know what it is I think any husband has to has to interact that way with their wife, obviously, and vice versa.
Mm.
But I think that with the disparity, obviously, in this country, and the way women in a business situation are treated as opposed to the way men in a business situation are treated, I think the way that Tim handled that particular character is, and obviously the way that that character was written,
Yeah,
a good go-to for most husbands in this country.
I agree. I agree. So you did, I think 19 episodes of Madam Secretary, and you actually played a few characters there. It wasn't just one character, which is cool. But how did that project come about for you?
You know what? It was a background job. It
Okay.
was it was background work. And while I don't know how many episodes I'm credited in, but
Mm.
um, I think probably I didn't do anything in the final season because obviously in the final season she was voted president, and
Yep.
the DS agents stay with the Secretary of State. So
Yep.
I was not involved in the final season, but in the first 5 seasons,
Mhm.
I would say if you factor in the background work as well as the principal work, I was probably in well over 100 episodes, I would think. I mean, I make an appearance somewhere,
Yeah.
but yeah, it started as a background job, and through the through God's good graces, and when I say God, I mean Morgan Freeman and Barbara Hall and Laurie McCreary and Sam Hoffman and Eric Stoltz and all the rest of the amazing producers, let alone the writers who were so good to me over the years. That it just it turned into a little something more, and they gave me a really good run and a pretty fun character arc.
Yeah, it was great, and again, it just kind of because some shows that you really want to be on, it doesn't really matter what you're doing, you just want to be on those shows. So like West Wing is one of those for me, which
Uh,
is my favorite show. I would not care, if I was the chair that somebody was sitting on. I just want to be there. So you being in all of these episodes, whether background or principal, you got
mhm.
a chance to really just kind of be there, live there, breathe it, observe it. And
Yeah,
I want to ask you about that experience of, that's you've been on, Blacklist, and you've been on Americans, and you've been on, The Following, you've been on a bunch of shows, but you've been most on Madam Secretary. What were you able to observe as an actor that said, okay, I'm definitely going to be doing this. This I had no idea about. Like,
mhm.
what was the process from the acting perspective?
Well, it's I started out as many people do, um,
Mhm.
local theater, community theater. I did 20 some odd years of that while living the normal life, wife and kids, and family obligations and that kind of stuff. But I used the theater to kind of keep my sanity because that was always what I loved. When I finally decided to pursue it professionally,
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to have to. There's a vast difference between acting for stage and acting in front of a camera.
Right.
Camera sees absolutely everything, and audiences don't necessarily do that. So getting involved in things like to break in a little bit, to get involved in things like background work and things like photo doubling, especially photo doubling and stand-in work, you can learn an awful lot about how everything works on a set.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, while it's not considered acting, it's amazing on the job training,
Mhm.
and it's a good way to learn the camera, to learn how things are done on the set, and about that playing to the camera. That is the difference between the stage work and the film work. Going on to Madam Secretary, you have to realize that when I got the job, like I said, it was just they called me from background casting and said, we've got a new show,
Yeah.
and do you want to work on the pilot? They brought me in as a photographer for a scene in the first episode. Now, if you remember, I don't know if you remember the very first episode of this series, but there's a very big scene with an African king and all of his wives, and Taya's going down and naming all of the wives. And I watched her do this 15 times, but they asked me to play a photographer just in the press, which is what I did. And if you watch that scene, you'll see me in the background with the camera.
Yeah.
But as they were filming it, the producer said, or the director rather, said, she doesn't have any security here. So he was walking down, and the director was, for me, a little guy, he came up and he saw me and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm a cameraman." He looked at me, he goes, and then he looked at Taya and went like this. And Taya went, like, this is a no-brainer. I was in a suit. They said, "Okay, go stand over there." And, that's the kind of thing that can happen where it just turns into something that it wasn't supposed to be. The show got picked up. They called me back. They said they want you to come in and do security. And off we went.
Wow.
But when you walk onto a set like that, you don't know, especially on a pilot, you don't know what's going to happen. You think you're just there for a day gig.
Yeah.
But then when you're dealing with showing up on a set and you see it's being produced by Laurie McCreary, it's being produced by Morgan Freeman, Sam Hoffman, and just this amazing writing staff. I'm a very big fan of, thanks to my daughter. My daughter's an enormous fan. I watched a lot of Castle, and we had a lot of the writers. And of course, when your showrunner is Barbara Hall. So you walk onto a set like that as the newbie, that I was, not in acting, but as in being on sets and being in a forward position, to say. And you see those kinds of people, you can either be intimidated, which to begin with I absolutely was, or you can understand that you're in a position where you're about to learn a whole lot about the business. And then when you're dealing with somebody like Taya, who you can go an entire career and you're not going to have a number one like Taya. She is a one of a kind in every possible way. So it really, that said, I don't know what Francis and Mike spoke about with you. I haven't seen their episodes, but I will guarantee you that both of them probably said it was one of, if not the best sets that they ever worked on.
Absolutely. Yep.
Top to bottom, from the crew members to the cast members to the producers, you won't find sets that operate the way that set operated.
Yeah, you're completely correct. Both of them said the same thing. They said that it was a family, that the crew, I think most of them stayed for the entire series.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The vast majority, yeah.
Yeah, and they both were raving about Taya. Francis was saying that a lot of the work, because he had a lot of scenes with Taya one-on-one. A lot of those scenes, it was Taya specifically saying, "You know what? I'm going to go. You need to stay. The camera needs to be on you because that's the right thing for the character." So again, being that number one who gives somebody else the opportunity to be the last person seen, that speaks to the lack of ego, and that speaks to what's right for the show. But both of them were just raving about how great the whole experience was.
Yeah, I can't begin to tell you how giving Taya is, but both, not just as an actor, but as an individual.
Yeah.
She's very, she's there for everybody all the time, behind the scenes, on the set. She's really an amazing example of the best type of person in this industry. And anybody who works in the industry knows that's not always the case. So she is without a doubt an amazing individual.
That's
And she's, you know, I used to joke around how many times I would have been fired probably from that set if it wasn't for Taya.
really.
I used to say the only thing keeping me around was Taya. Like, she's in the, because I'm a talker, I'm a loudmouth, I'm a joker, I get a little blue, you know, and if things aren't going my way, I can also be a pain in the ass, to be honest. But I always knew I had Taya behind me like Caesar, you know, saying, keep him, you know.
That's
Never
great.
gave me one of these. She always gave me one of these. So
No, off with his head.
no.
But
Probably saved me on several occasions.
that's very nice of her. I will come back to the show a few times, I'm sure. But you mentioned stand-in. You had a chance to be a stand-in for Vince Vaughn in Delivery Man, which I really enjoyed. That was a great film. And I'm sure that's not the only stand-in work that you have done. So, how, did you get to interact with Vince? What is he like on set?
I have interacted with Vince. Yes, I was on that set probably. I mean, if you look at hours and stuff, I was probably on that set more than any other actor there, because it was. I want to say it was about a 35-day shoot, and I was there for 35 of them. The only thing was I actually missed the last few days because when we were shooting, Sandy hit New York.
Okay.
And we shut down production for a few days. We actually, when we started production back up, we were inviting neighborhood people to come and plug in and stuff, because all the lights in downtown Manhattan were still out, but we had generators and everything. So we were feeding people on the set and everything else. The cast was great about that. I did interact with Vince, obviously, a bit. He's been doing it a long time. So I think, Vince has expectations of a way a set should be run, and people around him run it that way. He's, if something is not going right on the set, he's going to let you know it. But he's, with the rest of the cast, we obviously on that particular movie, we had a whole bunch of kids. Whole bunch of kids just starting out, kids playing their first role, some who've already gone on to some very big things. And he was always working with them, always helping them out. I'll tell you what I really loved on that set, and somebody who I'll show loyalty to for the rest of my life, just because of, again, it goes to the type of people you meet in the industry. And when you meet a good one, it's you just a really good person, they stick with you. And I'll tell you that Chris Pratt was on that film, and obviously just before he became Chris Pratt, but what a wonderful guy. Really tough to, and it was a really good cast to interact with on a regular basis, because everybody was pretty level-headed. You had Chris Pratt, you had Kobe Smulders, who's an absolute doll. You had Simon Delaney, who, if you're not familiar with him, he's an Irish actor, and just an absolute wonderful guy. It was a really great cast in general. So hanging around with them was good. It was my first real long commitment to a project. Most of the stuff I'd done before that was a day here, a day there. Most actors' jobs, one day here, one day there. But that, when you commit to something for a month and a half, that was really the first time that I got to sit and really take in the whole set vibe, and how things worked, and how to look at the producers and the ADs and see how they handle specific situations, whether it be dealing with, the star, dealing with the background, dealing with all the things that they have to deal with. And that in and of itself is an education.
Yeah. For those people who are not familiar, can you tell them what, aside from it sounds like you're standing in for somebody, what does it mean? What is your role? Because when you're standing in, you're not just standing there. There's
no.
a lot going. fill
Your
people in.
job is to be there. Your job is to be there when the actor is not,
Mhm.
or when the actor can't be. Obviously, in between takes, actors we have to learn lines. We have to refresh our things. It's not always easy, especially in film and television, where you're shooting out of order and
Yep.
you've got to refresh yourself as to where you were at that given point from the piece that you either haven't shot yet or you shot 3 weeks ago, to determine that kind of where you are in the moment. So actors are dealing with that. Obviously, if you're talking about somebody like Vince, there's commitments and obligations that go far beyond just what you're doing in front of the camera.
Right.
So obviously he's got to deal with multiple producers, or he is a producer and he's got to deal with that side of the business. He's got to deal with representatives. He's got to deal with media. He's got to deal with all these different things. So people don't I think realize the amount of obligations, especially that a bigger star has in the industry. It's why when you look at the credits, you'll see they have 3 assistants, hairdressers, everything else. There's just so much to deal with.
Yeah.
But basically, you're there to when they're setting the lights, and the actor can't be there, you'll be there for the actor. If they need to work out, one of the other actors might need to. I would run lines with Chris Pratt if he needed me to, and because Vince couldn't be there at that particular moment, or anytime they resetting the cameras, whether it just be for Vince to read his lines or whether it be for him to get a break or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and when they're shooting coverages, right? So I mean, Vince, it could be an over-the-shoulder, type of shot. Vince doesn't necessarily have to be there,
Yeah, I mean, there's generally speaking, I've found, and I personally, most actors in my experience want to be there for that. And that's not to say that it hasn't happened. I've had times, especially photo double work, obviously, is something else entirely, because photo double work, that's exactly what you're there for. Yeah. To be the back of the head, to be, the guy standing looking over the city, or getting into the car back, 1,500 times from a distance because the actor's knee is killing him or whatever. Whereas with the stand-in work, when you're dealing with that kind of stuff, I know myself personally, most of the actors I've been fortunate enough to work with, you like to be there in the scene for the other actor. And I think any actor who's really understands the complexities of dealing with a scene, and again, everything that the camera sees, it's a benefit to the other actor, in my opinion, to be there for them.
Completely agree. Absolutely. Going back to Madam Secretary and kind of some of the amazing stuff that happened there. I know that they travel as well, right? So the show went and they shot somewhere outside of the main location.
Not often.
Huh? Not often?
When you say travel, we did plenty of traveling, but I can tell you I probably went to 50 countries in 5 years and I never left New York City.
Really? That's well done, because some excuse me, some locations and some sets really looked like it was outside the country.
We shot everything inside the New York area. There was one, I want to say beginning of season 4, maybe. We did a few days. We went to Washington.
Okay.
We shot on location in Washington once. Aside from that, pretty much everything you see. I mean, we use the same beach in Long Island for probably 3 or 4 different countries and just change it out to shrubbery. We had an amazing set decorating crew. Really, really top notch as far as getting the set realism where I had the fortune of that some other people, like oftentimes Mike, wouldn't have. Mike, his character was almost always on set.
Yeah.
He was in the Oval Office. He was, I had the good fortune. I'd spend my days at the house set, but the vast majority of my stuff was on location.
Right.
And most of our shooting happened, it's Manhattan, Brooklyn, Long Island.
Okay.
We did a bit in Queens, but we were always in New York, even when it didn't look like we were. We brought in the camel.
That's okay. I stand corrected. I definitely thought that the show traveled. Thank you for letting me know that.
It is a testament to, again, to the crew of that show, how good everyone was at their job, how efficient they were at their jobs. I mean, you didn't work a lot of long days. You really, and when you did, it was just because you had one of those days. Something happened that went wrong or whatever, and that was it. But we had an amazing crew, from the set decorating to the hair and wardrobe. A list of directors that were just, I mean, especially our regular directors, the ones who directed the most episodes.
Yeah.
The first, Eric Stoltz, Rob Greenlee. Rob Greenlee, I couldn't say enough about. Same with Eric. Again, as good a people as you're going to meet, but efficient, know their jobs. I mean, epitome of professionalism. Really, really good.
That's awesome. What you've been in so many episodes. Can you pick a few favorites that stand out to you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm an actor. I'm gonna go to the ones that were best for me.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I had probably my favorite one. I want to say it was season 2. Which I had an absolute blast shooting. Was I think the name of the episode was Higher Learning, and it was about her younger daughter going to visit colleges.
I remember.
Yep, and she encounters some protesters,
Yeah.
who obviously I have a problem with, and it was a lot of fun. And the reason it was a lot of fun for me was because it was really the first time that I got to play that interaction with the family. Most of my work, obviously, for obvious reasons, was with Taya. The vast majority, if I had a scene, it was with Taya.
Yeah.
So being able to have that, especially that last moment where they're sledding, they go trace sledding down the snow and everything, and that scene was just so much fun. And it was we weren't faking it. It was snowy. It was miserable. It was, I'm tromping through 6 or 7 inches of snow in dress shoes and having the time of my life. I mean, the crew was probably looking at me like I was nuts, because they're like, you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I was having the time of my life. It was such a fun scene, such a great scene, and it was really the first opportunity that I had as an actor to play a scene that allowed me to relate to something other than being the heavy.
Right.
They really gave me an opportunity with that scene. My first scene, the first episode I did, where I had something of significance, not just, the one-liner, yes, ma'am, kind of thing, but the scene where there was an episode where the neighbors were complaining because the cars were always running outside the house.
Yep.
That was my first bigger episode, and I was really, really upset because I had 2 good scenes in that episode, and one of them got left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
And it was a really good interaction between Tay and I. Very funny, cute scene, quick, but good. And I really enjoyed doing it. And I ended up on the cutting room floor. But again, amazing crew, amazing people. They actually gave me access to the scene after the episode aired, that I was able to put it online. So I kind of had this, thanks to Eric Stoltz and Laurie McCreary, I kind of had the exclusive to this outtake that they gave me. And it was a lot of fun to shoot. And that was really the first time that they said, all right, we're going to give you something substantial.
That's very cool. If you have it, please let us know the link. We're going to put it below the video. So that's very cool. Speaking of kind of, being the heavy, right? So you, on The Americans, you played a KGB agent, which, by the way, loved The Americans. I had a chance to talk to Lev Gorn. So, that was...
I was actually one of Lev's guys.
So I really enjoyed that show. I didn't finish it. I still have not finished it because remember the episode in which I don't remember what season, but they broke into to a factory, and the elderly woman who was doing accounting at that factory, she was there, and they had to kill her because she saw them. And that scene for me was so emotionally draining. I said, I'm getting PTSD. I can't do this to myself anymore. And I stopped watching. It was too much. And again, I grew up in Soviet Union. I came here at 14. So the fact that it was, kind of Russian sleeper cell,
Yeah.
and you had this whole dynamic between, the characters. It was really kind of interesting to me to watch, being an American who is from, the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
So I loved that show. It just it was too much for me.
It was a pretty intense show. I never really got heavily into it. I watched. It's funny, the more time you spend doing television, the less time you spend watching any television. Yeah. But I remember I watched, obviously when they said, do you want to do this bit? I went and I watched some episodes. It was a very intense show. Mm-hmm. But it was really, really well done, and obviously the cast was top notch.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so again, you did the heavy there, right? So
I get a lot of heavy.
Yeah, Blacklist, right? Another show that I had to stop watching because I was getting PTSD from it. Like you can't mess with people's emotions, that much. It's a fantastic show. It was too much for me.
Yeah, and again, the cast is just cast in these shows. Television has gotten so amazing the last 10 years with the level of not just the actors involved, but the writers. The writers are just absolutely amazing in television right now. The shows just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, television is where it's at. I mean, I fell in love with movies, and that was my my dream.
That's me.
Yeah, but television really kind of started to take over the last maybe 10 years now or so, with just incredible shows. So being, kind of the heavy in many different things that you have done, is that kind of where your industry box is, where your type is, or that just...
I don't like to put myself in a box. When I worked, when I was doing stage work and stuff, I wasn't the heavy nearly as often. Mm-hmm. I did the romantic leading man. I did shows like Bent, which was just emotional and draining and a very hard show to perform and a very hard show to watch. Mm-hmm. But I also played, I also did Dracula, and but while I was doing that, I would also do John Proctor in The Crucible. And so I try not to put myself in that box. But again, once you get into film and television, you're going to be put in a box if the box is suitable for you. So you do have to recognize what your type is, especially starting out. Yeah. And play to that type. So when I made my promo video for my website, I had Bad to the Bone playing in the background, and everything that I had video wise was the heavy, the cop, the detective, the Batman villain, and whatever footage I had at that point, because that's what I realized this is how they're going to look at me. I have those types of features. God knows I have that size. So I knew that was going to be the case. But I can't complain about that, because you know what? It's got me work. Mm-hmm. They are oftentimes some of the most fun characters to play. Mm-hmm. And I think I've gotten pretty good at playing them. I've eliminated the main mistake I used to make when playing the heavies, particularly on stage and stuff, and that was playing them as the heavy. Biggest mistake you can make.
Right.
You really want to be a good heavy? Don't judge them. Don't judge them, because they wouldn't judge themselves. So from an acting standpoint, they're a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's kind of been going on? I know, COVID time hit, so there's not a ton of projects, but where is your career going? What have you seen in terms of trends emerging?
Well, I mean, like you said, for the last few months, there
Right.
haven't been a whole lot of trends. I've actually taken more to working on some, I think a lot of people have, working on some projects myself.
Mm.
The availability of projects, obviously, for months, there was nothing.
Right.
Now things are starting to open up again, but they're still with COVID limitations and everything. How much work is there really when they say, we can have this many people on the set? By the time you remove the director, the camera people, the sound guy, and everything, you got 3 actors available to you before you've met the limits. So there's not a lot of work out there. But I think in today's business with um, streaming and internet and everything else, there's so much opportunity for people to kind of go ahead and do their own thing and get themselves out there. And it's never a bad thing, and I've had a couple people, because I will occasionally, somehow, somewhere along the way, I've turned into one of the old guys. So I will get a lot of, young kids, starting out asking me things, and I'll tell them, look, do your project, write it, film it, act it, get your friends to do it with you, put it out there, put it out there. Don't be afraid
Mhm.
to fall on your face. Don't be afraid, because you might not.
Yeah.
And even if you do, the one thing you can learn pretty quickly in this business is you're never going to please everybody. Half the people are going to love you. Half the people are going to hate you.
Mhm.
The only thing that matters is, do they remember you?
Sure.
And if they remember you, I mean, I'll give you an example. I did a short film years ago, and the producer of this short film and I were cats and dogs, oil and water. I mean, we despised each other to the point where we finished shooting the short, and it was basically, he cursed out me, I cursed out him. It was F you, and we're gone, and that's it. Never to see each other again. Unbelievable. We hated each other.
Mhm.
About 2 years passed, and I got a phone call, and it was him. And I said, what the hell do you want? He said, listen, I know you and I don't get along, but we're doing another short film, and I'm reading the script, and I'm reading the character, and I'm saying to myself, this character's a jerk. I know this jerk. I worked with this jerk. Do you want to read it? I said, yeah, send it to me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, you can't get offended at that kind of thing. We knew we didn't get along. He thinks I'm a jerk. I think it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
because what matters is the product and the project.
Yeah.
And he sent me the script. The script was great. I loved it. I said, yeah, I'm in. We did that short in 2 days. I don't think it ever saw the light of day, to be honest with you. But to this day, we're good friends, because we realized the second time around, we have a lot of differences in how we approach things, but the result we want is exactly the same. And once you come to that realization with somebody, you realize you have more in common than not.
Yeah.
And so, you never know what the project is going to be that sends you on your way, or what the project is going to be that introduces you to the individual who 20 years later will give you the project that sends you on your way. You just don't know. So the best thing you can do is work with a tough situation. Pandemic, you're not going to get a much tougher situation. So you need to, at this point, I think, doing your own thing. I've been working on a couple of different writing projects. One actually with one of the crew members from Madam Secretary, which I can't really go into detail on because I promised him I wouldn't. But I'm actually pretty excited about it. I think if we do it right, it could be a lot of fun.
Good luck on that. Absolutely. Please keep us posted. Hopefully it happens. We can have you on to discuss it.
That'd be great.
That's very, very cool. All right. So last question for you.
Sure.
After doing this, for a while, doing stage and then getting into film and TV, you know, is there one particular thing that drives you to continue doing
Uh, it's going to be a little bit of a long, drawn out answer, but
it?
I'll give it to you. So I mentioned earlier that I did 20 plus years of retail management, and I look back and I say, I wanted to act when I was 18, 19 years old, but I made other life decisions. I chose to, I met my wife, got into the business aspect, the retail aspect and everything. I was making pretty good money, did that. And I did that for 20 plus years. And I sometimes, I'll look back and say, if I had started my acting career then, I think I'm pretty comfortable saying that I'd be pretty far along right now and where I would be as opposed to where I am in this industry. Not as a regret, but just more of a curiosity, But had I not made the decisions that I made, I wouldn't have the personal life that I have now, and I wouldn't trade those two for anything. The reason I say that is because I did a couple of shows and they ended up going fairly well. They got good reviews. I got some awards for them, Bent being one of them. And I was pushing 38, 39 at the time. And my wife came to me and she said, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. So in the middle of a pretty bad recession, this is going back to, that time, 2011, 2012, quit a really good paying job to pursue something that nobody at that age has the right to go ahead and pursue with any expectation of success. And the reason I did it was because at that point, my daughters were maybe 8 and 5. And it wasn't at that point, I'd want to be a movie star, I want to be an actor anymore like it was when I was 18, 19 years old. It was, I would really love to wake up in the morning, be happy, love what I do, and just be able to support my family doing it. But most importantly, it was for my kids to see me pursue what I wanted to do with my life, to pursue my dream, pursue my craft, pursue what I feel I was meant to do, in the hopes that eventually they'll do exactly the same thing. And if I didn't do that, I felt like I was doing a disservice to them. So that's what drives me, knowing that if my career were to go no further than it already has, my kids saw me try. And I'll keep trying, and I'll keep trying, and I'll keep trying, and I'll keep pushing, and I'll keep hustling for that next gig like every other actor and everything. Not because I'm looking for fame or fortune or any of that kind of thing. To be perfectly honest, they can keep the fame. I've seen it up close. You can have it. I'll take the fortune. You can keep the fame. But most importantly, that my kids see me do it, and hopefully, they're getting a little older now. They're in high school and stuff. So hopefully, over the next couple of years, they'll be pursuing theirs right alongside me. So.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I similar story, right? Got married, have a beautiful wife and 2 kids, and always thought of myself as an actor, and always kind of kept nibbling, but in Chicago, with the secondary market, with the kids, with the expectations, with other things. IT consulting was paying me a lot of money. I quit in order to pursue it, and this inconsistency of everything and not being able to fully, kind of immerse myself, it's been tough. And but when you said that I want the kids to see me pursuing my dream, that's one of the reasons why I did it. And the kids are seeing it, and the kids are seeing that during COVID I started the show, and now we're on episode 104 in 5 months time. the it's important to us parents to show the kids that we're not just telling them, hey, you can achieve anything, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to succeed to the level that you expect, but not trying is not the right thing to do. So show them a real life example of this is hard, this is different, but you have to keep on trying. I think that we've achieved. My son is my biggest fan. He keeps on talking to everybody about me. He's my PR.
That's what it's all about. I mean, and when we've raised the kids with a couple of mantras. The first one being that it's better to aim high and miss than aim low and achieve.
Right. Yeah.
Just go for it. Go for it. And the worst that's going to happen is you don't get there, but you'll probably get a lot farther than you would have had you not tried. And the second one is, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Sure. Yeah.
I haven't worked in 9 years. I haven't worked in, because even on days where I'm complaining, where I'm on set, and I tell them all the time, I work me for 2 hours, work me for 22 hours. Just don't work me for 8 hours. Because that's a money thing. Any union actor will be able to tell you, don't work me for 8 hours. Work me for 2. Work me for 22. Yeah. But in the reality of the situation, any day that I wake up and I'm going to set, it's a beautiful day. A beautiful day. It doesn't get any better than that. To really, and that's one of the things that gets me about a lot of people in the industry, especially some of the established ones, because like anyone, we're human. It becomes a job. And people, I think, who have been doing it a long time and doing it regularly for a long time, can sometimes take it for granted and forget how lucky we are to be able to work with not just doing what we love, but with other people doing what they love, with creatives, with writers, with actors, with set designers and makeup artists and wardrobe artists, and so many, but the key being artists. We get to work with passion all the time. And that's how many people can say that?
Right.
That we're working constantly with people who are passionate, or who are doing exactly what we just said, doing what they feel like they were put here to do, that they were meant to do, that they love. And we get to work with those people all the time. How do you not appreciate that?
Right. It's swimming in those waters. That's how I kind of say, those are my waters and I need to swim in them. Otherwise it just doesn't feel right.
Exactly right.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Matt. I really enjoyed meeting you. I appreciate you coming on.
You as well. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, get some sleep.
I still have to watch. It's like a train wreck. I can't turn away. I have to watch until I have an answer. Pennsylvania
will be counting votes. I think the deadline is 5 p.m. on Friday. So they're going to be counting votes. Michigan and Wisconsin, maybe we'll know today.
Probably. I hear Michigan and Wisconsin go the right way. They'll at least be able to get a nap.
But okay, get naps. I know that I'll be doing that. I'll be doing that today. And best of luck to you. Keep going for it. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Oh, thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thanks to everybody for tuning in. I hope you're able to get rest and relaxation as all of us are waiting for the results. Please go check out Matt's info. We're going to have it right below the video, and have a great day. Take care, everybody. Bye.